Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the Dutch and the Chinese, welcome to the final part of Nerdcube's greatest games of all time. Today, 10 to 1 is the current time. It isn't. Actually, it might be for you. You might have just freaked the fuck out. Oh, it's amazing! Anyway, enough of that David Blainery. It is now time to talk about the best video games ever made. Number 10. The Sims. I'm going with the classic Sims here because that was the one that I thought best mushed everything together. I'm aware that the other ones have more stuff, but the simplicity of the original Sims really cements it for me. I mean, The Sims originally started as an architecture simulation. You were supposed to just build the houses. That's where the game started, and The Sims were basically just decoration. And then their role just grew and grew and grew, and eventually the game became about them. That's why it's such a good building game. It's because that's actually what it was in the first place. But The Sims changed the world. I mean, for a while it was the best-selling PC game of all time. It blew away Myst, I think, which was the previous one. And now it's sold 100 bajillion copies. I think it's actually sold 100 million copies across all of, all the Sims franchise and stuff, which is insane. But for me, that first one, with its music and its quietness, and it's much, I don't know, the tone was closer to reality. The later ones are more wacky. It was properly grounded, and it was like a toy. It felt like nothing else. The Sims changed the world of gaming. I mean, one of the main things that The Sims has done that no other game really has done is it brought in a whole new audience. A whole new bunch of people started playing PC games and never really played them before because The Sims was different. It was the toy. I don't know. It was social. It's not a game where you have guns and bombs and violence. It's a game with no goal and you just play it. And you play with people talking to other people. No other game really gave anything like that. It was the first social game. As in the first game that focused on socializing as core gameplay. And it's marvelous. And that soundtrack, the sort of shopping channel stuff when you're buying and the piano when you're building, beautiful. I literally have the album of that music and I play it regularly. It's one of 2 gaming albums that I listen to. The other one is Sonic R. Don't judge me. Number 9.
Why did I move here? I guess it was the weather.
GTA 5. That little bit of trailer voice there gives me the fucking tingles. That is my brain remembering the most successful hype train I've ever ridden. I went all in, believing the Rockstar was going to actually be on the money with GTA 5, and they nailed it. I mean, that trailer is what, 5 years old now? Came out sort of 2011 time? Yeah, 5 years old, that trailer. Our first look at Los Santos was 5 years ago. I mean, the game came out 3 years ago, and it's different now than it came out. It's got that wonderful first burst mode and stuff, but I just love it. I love the world. I love the detailing of the world. But my favourite thing about GTA 5 is the way they handled characters. You see, a lot of stories in games feel like they're going on too long because you're only focusing on one character. Nothing does that. No film, no TV show, nothing does that. And games should be built more like TV shows because they're built into missions and quests and stuff. So having the jumping between different lead characters worked really, really well. Really, really well because it made it feel more like a TV show, so it was better paced. And because it was better paced, it just felt wonderful. I mean, it helps that the characters are also fantastic characters. I mean, I know stuff about the characters. Like, I know that Michael's into films, which isn't something that normally you would get in a game. You just have explosions and guns. But I know that he's into films because we had missions about that. Instead of just being tell, it was show. The game would always show you this person likes this thing, and we're going to go do it just to prove that this person likes this thing. And I think it was wonderfully structured characters. The gameplay honed down. I mean, from GTA 4, Red Dead, and Max Payne, they got the gameplay down to an absolute T, so it's super satisfying. The only downside of it all is the online mode is a microtransaction-heavy hellhole, but that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter because the base game is incredible, and it's hundreds of hours of absolute incredibleness that means that the multiplayer is just a kind of an odd bonus. This game isn't going to drop points on my chart because the multiplayer's crap. I mean, that would be like saying that Die Hard isn't a very good film because the DVD extras are a bit shit. Which, incidentally, I don't know if they're a bit shit or not, because if I've got a disc with Die Hard on, I'm gonna watch Die Hard. Number 8. Roller Coaster Tycoon 2. Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 is Roller Coaster Tycoon 1 with a few more bits glued on, and that works for me. It's kind of how to do a sequel, just be like, yeah, I made a flawless game, let's just add more bits. And the bits they added was the ability to actually, like, stack things on top of each other and build those little buildings and stuff, so kind of big things that it added. But Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 is an incredible game. It's exceptional. We've all probably spent a very long time playing it. If not, go to Good Old Games and buy the bloody thing. It runs as fine now as it did forever ago because it's built in assembly, so it's like hard-coded into the machine. Like one fucking step down, and Chris Sawyer, the guy who made it, would have had to have fucking put zeros and ones in directly. It's insane, and because it was like coded down to that perfection, you could have like thousands of guests in your park with no slowdown whatsoever. And the art style is it's bumpy and charming, and the music is lovely, and everything that it did well, and it did it so well. It's a game that's so strong, it stands up today so well. I mean, people are kind of remaking it. You got like Parkitect and stuff like that. I mean, that's literally just this again. This is so good that just people are like, hey, let's just actually do a slightly updated version of that. And they don't really change your ad very much. They just remake it because it was perfect then and it's perfect now. Number 7. Dungeon Keeper. Dungeon Keeper is a dark game with a slightly silly tone, which I've realised during this list is my favourite thing. But I think it's more silly than dark. But Dungeon Keeper is Bullfrog's best game. Bullfrog made some of my favourite games ever, but it is their absolute definitive best game. You play as a dude... Oh, by the way, not the phone version. This is not the phone version. This is the PC version. For the love of God, I'm not talking about that horrible, horrific hellhole that is the phone version. But yeah, you build a dungeon, you control a dungeon, you control some imps and you dig stuff out, and sometimes you have to battle somebody, and other times you have to battle two somebodies, and heroes will come and try and kill you because you're the villain, you're gradually corrupting and destroying the world, and that is a wonderful... That's a wonderful setup, it's a wonderful set of mechanics. I mean, the joy of finding a purple vein of the jewels, or gems, whatever it's called, which meant you had infinite gold in the map, meant you could really beef your team up, that was always really good fun. But the best thing about Dungeon Keeper, the reason it is so high, is even in the days of bloody MS-DOS, when this thing came out, you could possess your minions. And I remember the exact moment I found out you could do that by complete accident, because I was very young when it came out and I was playing it. But I clicked on the possess thing and clicked on an imp and became that imp, and then saw the world that I had built in a first person and could look around and walk around this world that I'd built. And it had a ceiling. And it had all the little warlocks running around going and firing fireballs and crap. And then if you possessed a warlock, you could use all their abilities. Like anybody you possessed, any of the creatures, you could use their abilities. And that was just mind-blowing then. And it's such a massive mind-blow that when I think about it, I still get those tingles of that moment that I discovered that. And I'm going to have that forever. And I should probably see a doctor about it. But I'm happy that I've got it. Number 6. SSX3. Where the hell do I begin showering this game with compliments? Well, let's start with the soundtrack, which was dynamic, which meant that, I mean, it was incredible, but also meant that if you were massively high up in the air, the soundtrack would muffle and go weird. You could hear more of the whooshing air and stuff, and when you hit the ground, it would jump into a bit of the chorus, so it would actually sound like it was, like, perfectly timed landing. Everything, it was just constantly chopping and changing the song. Like, the song would last the exact time it took you from start gate to end gate. That would be the length of one song. And that was amazing. And that was stunning. How about the fact that the final race and stuff you could do is from the top of the mountain to the bottom, and it takes half an hour. Like just half an hour if you want to take the nice sort of leisurely... Well, for the race you want to go a bit faster, but if you're doing the tricks, half an hour is the time limit for that thing. Which is insane. I mean, it's the biggest game in the world. Like, the website How Long to Beat, which is how I normally see how long things are going to take to beat, because that's its purpose, doesn't actually have a single listing for 100%. Not one. In fact, I looked up speedrunners of this game. The fastest speedrun I could find of 100%ing this game was 4 hours 40 minutes. And that's speedrunning it with one character. Because to truly 100% the game, you have to use all 10 characters. I think there were 10 characters. Because they each level up differently and stuff. So you have to change everything with all those characters. Which means to speedrun this game to 100% would take you 46 hours. Which is a lot for a speedrun. That's a pretty hefty speedrun. I do also like the fact on the speedrun website, the second fastest time is 6 hours 20 minutes, and the comment the person left with it was, content with this one, probably won't revisit this category for a while. Yeah, because you need to fucking get some time off work to be able to speedrun that game. Yeah, it's a beautiful game. The controls are sublime. The gameplay is sublime. I know some people prefer tricky, but I just love the sheer scale and ambition of SSX3. Nothing comes close to it, and it's number 5. Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Did you know that Grand Theft Auto Vice City came out in the year 2002? Did you also know that that means that Grand Theft Auto Vice City is closer to 1989, the 80s, than it is to modern day? Isn't that strange? Like, they've actually, the jump between the 80s and the building and release of Vice City, they could have done again in the that's nuts. That's a nuts that is time is passing and we're all old and dying, and it seems to be Grand Theft Autos that are pointing that out to me. I played Grand Theft Auto when it came out. My uncle lent me a copy of it, and it changed my fucking view of games, because it gave me something adult and strange and dark, but silly. And it's, I mean, it's the, we can agree that it's the best, like, soundtrack in a game ever, right? It just has that. It just, that 80s soundtrack is unbeatable. And the tone of the entire game, like the color palette used in the game, those fucking sunsets, that would turn the entire sky bright orange. The balls they had in the art direction for that game. The absolute fucking balls they had. I mean, the map itself, while being small, is like perfect. I mean, if you play San Andreas now, you'll start seeing the seams, but in that it is just a beautiful little set of islands. And the plane coming down at the airport and just shooting it even though it doesn't exist, but still doing it because it's fun. Did I mention the radio and the soundtracks? God fucking damn. It's just, it's held up so well as well. I mean, I do replay it, and when I replay it to 100%. Nothing will ever beat that feeling when I completed this game 100% for the first time. And I remember I nicked a helicopter and was flying it back to the mansion that sits in the middle, and the song Gold by Spandau Ballet came on. And I remember that moment I did another lap of the island just before I went and set up my thing because I was listening to the song. It just felt so right. Fuck, it's a good game. Fuck, I want to play it right now and I've got to talk more. Piss. Number 4. Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. You know, throughout this list I've had some games that when I've been sort of picking between one of the series, I've kind of put the whole series in there, like Prince of Persia and stuff like that, but Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 is so different to 2. It's such an entirely different game that I thought it deserves a place, and then realised that both of them are going to end up in the top fucking 10. But that's the way it goes. Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 is an incredible game, and it comes down to the water is one reason, but the detail, I mean, being able to make your own fireworks display to your own music is, no game's done that. No game has done that since, like, that's such a little thing, but it's there and it's doable. You can ignore it. They spent all that time programming it and you can completely ignore it, or you can not, and you can make an amazing theme park, and you can build swimming pools. God, I love building those swimming pools. I really love that water sort of thing. It was the expansion packs that really pushed this over the edge for me. I like the fact you can build a fucking zoo as well. Just build a zoo. The only real downside of Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, I mean, some people don't like it because it's so different from 2, but for me the only real downside is just the way it was built. It's simply the way it was built because it just chokes up and dies after a while. You can't actually completely fill a park up, which is a shame. If any other game, I mean, if any game deserves a 64-bit version, it's Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, and we need that. But we're not going to get that because the series is a bit dead now. But it went out on a high. Number 3.
This was a triumph.
Portal! So that's the game that I consistently call the perfect video game, coming in 3rd. Well, it's my system, you see. It's the system that I came up with, is that Portal is perfect. Everything that it does is perfect. The only downside to Portal is that it was built basically as just an extra bit of the orange box. It was the unimportant bit of the orange box. I mean, how wrong they were, because it is the best bit of the orange box. But it was only it was an extra. That's why it's quite small. It doesn't have the huge ambition that something like, you know, Vice City or something would have. It's a smaller sort of game, and it just lost a little bit. At the end, this was just tiny little bits. But I mean, what do I say about Portal? I mean, everybody knows Portal. It's pitch perfect. It's ramps up the tension absolutely perfectly. Ramps up the puzzles absolutely perfectly. It's smart. It's clever. It came up with memes out of its ass before memes even had asses. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. You know Portal. You know Portal. And it deserves every ounce of praise it has ever, currently is, or will ever receive. Number 2! Shadow of the Colossus. So how many of you are betting that that was number 1? Shadow of the Colossus is the oh my fucking god. I mean, The Last Guardian, hopefully, I mean, it's gone fucking gold, is out by the time you're watching this. It's not out for me. God, I hope it's not a shit show. Oh god, if it's a shit show. Oh god. But anyway, it's unimportant because Shadow of the Colossus is, and always will be, an incredible fucking game. The massive testicles on the people that made that game. They went, hey, you know how the PS2 is hardware that's pathetic and barely make Parappa the Rapper? Let's make giant fucking monsters in it. In fact, let's make giant fucking monsters that are very accurately collision detected and move and have fur, and you have to climb up them and stab them, and all this is happening in a giant open world, and we're going to have really interesting like art design throughout the entire thing, and the colour palette is going to be spot on and perfect. The soundtrack is going to be made by God herself. Everything about this game is going to be perfect, and you have to go and stab 16 giant monsters, all of which are completely different. In fact, I actually harbour a secret theory that Shadow of the Colossus in that actually refers to the testicles of the people that made this thing, because the monsters are massive. They are so massive, and that moment, that first moment where that thing steps in front of you, and the camera slowly pans up, and the music goes, bah, bah! Yeah, there will never be a moment like that. That was the first, here's a really big fucking thing, go kill it. And now, anytime a game does a really big fucking thing, go kill it. I love it. I love going and stabbing big things in the face. But Shadow of the Colossus was the first, and it was on hardware that was not ready for that. And it was beautiful. It's a beautiful game. That's when people are like, oh, games are art, here's fucking Journey, or that one in that village where everyone's fucked off somewhere. Oh, everyone's gone to the Rapture. When they go, oh, look, games are out, and point at those, I just want to smash their faces in with a hammer wielded by a 5,000-foot tall Goliath. Shadow of the Colossus is an exceptional video game from its start to its end. I mean, it nailed the ending. So many games fuck their ending up, but you could tell the ending was weaved in from the beginning and properly, and time was taken with it. And I've bought the collector's edition of The Last Guardian, and I never buy collector's editions of anything, and I just, even if The Last Guardian is shit, you can't, I don't know what the creators of Shadow of the Colossus would have to do to undo that. Like, what could they do? Like, if I opened up my case of The Last Guardian, and I put it in, and it was Ride to Hell Retribution, starring Jar Jar Binks, I'd still think that they were geniuses for Shadow of the Colossus. I don't think it's an undoable thing. I think they could just flat out murder everyone. They could just murder innocent orphans, and I'd be like, yeah, but they still made Shadow of the Colossus. Right then, number 1. Bully. It's Bully. Bully is the best game ever made. And I had no idea. When I started writing this list, I didn't know. I came up with the criteria, and then everything started to fit the criteria, so I was like, right, I'll stick with this criteria because it's working. And then Bully floated to the top. Bully is the best game. Bully is my favourite game, and I've proven that now. Scientifically, I mean, I wrote it down and everything. It's Bully. Because Bully isn't a game, Bully is a time machine. You play Bully, and you are flung back to your school days. You're flung back to what is essentially a real-life sort of madness song. It's baggy trousers made real. Everything about it is spot on, from throwing marbles at prefects to never seeing the same person twice when wandering around. They never spawn the same NPC twice in the school area. Like, the kids are always the same. Like, that's genius, because like when you're in a school, you know everyone's face. You may not know them all, but you know everyone's face. You never see like new people around the place. But they just copied that. They copied real life over in the smartest, beautiful thing ever. And I love watching people go to lessons. I love doing the lessons myself. I love that when you get out into the adult world, all the adults just look the same. It doesn't matter that the adults look the same, because you never really stare at the adults. That's not important. I love sneaking to the carnival to go and, you know, hang out with people and play games. I love that. And then I love, you know, being too tired and running home, like cycling home, not running home, cycling home, trying to get back and dodge the prefects. Bully is a magical, magical game. The soundtrack is just fucking perfect. I earlier said that Sonic R was one of the only other soundtracks I listened to. No, the Bully one, every bit of that is just so playful and bouncy and cheeky. It's a very cheeky sort of game, and it's all in place. Everything is in place. Like pulling the fire drill before I go to bed. All the bastard things that I would do in that game all feel right. The seasons changing, snow appearing, and then like Christmas Day. It's a game where you play Christmas Day. Like you open like what other game has you played Christmas Day? Like, and it's actually, you do Christmas stuff. You do Halloween. Like, it's, nothing's, these are such simple things, and nothing had done them. And then Bully comes along and has done them all. It's wonderful. I mean, the Scholarship Edition added bits and fixed bits and all stuff like that, so that's the one you should go for. But I mean, even the base game, it's incredible. The whole thing, even Gary is Rockstar's best fucking villain. He's Rockstar's best villain because he's just so fucking hateable. He's such a manipulative fuck. And because it's leveled, because like in GTA, you just go shoot the fucking thing. Oh, he runs a gang. Who gives a fuck? Just shoot him with 50,000 gang members. In this, you can't just like punch the shit out of Gary because you get in trouble. There's like an over level of teachers and the headmaster and stuff, and you get detention and have to drive a fucking lawn thing and. I don't know, you do paper rounds. It's perfect. It's the best video game ever made. It genuinely, really, truly is. It took me 10 days to get there for you. My voice is shot to shite. But we got there in the end. Bully is the best game ever made. Thank you very much for watching. Normal service will mercifully resume as soon as possible. Ta-ra.